This week, we bring on our nephews, Ivan and Oliver, as new crew. We anchor in really tight quarters, eat our body weight in food, then we return to Beckway, where we explore an estate and taste all the local fruits. Aaron also gets chased down by cats. We then explore an island that was a filming location for Pirates of the Caribbean.
What are you doing? You burned all the food, the shade, the rum.
Yes, the rum is gone.
Why is the rum gone?
We get a swim in with turtles, then head south to haul out of the water and finish up our second season aboard Symphony.
'Cause even in the madness, there is peace, drowning out the voices all around me. Through all of this chaos, you are writing a symphony, a symphony. Oh.
We put the boat up for a week in Grenada so we could fly back for Ivan's graduation from high school. It was great to go back and see family, even if it was a short visit. Before we knew it, we were back on the boat and leaving Port Louis Marina to get back at it. Unfortunately, the weather was not cooperating. So we are back in Grenada, and we are going to spend about 3 weeks cruising around with our nephews Ivan and Oliver, and then come back and start getting the boat ready to put on the hard. We're in the middle of a lot of rain, so for the last several days we've been at this anchorage just hanging out and getting used to being back on the boat, but there's a lot of rain. Hopefully it'll break and we'll be able to move up to the Grenadines and go run around there for a little while. Both are off? Eh? All clear?
All clear.
Okie doke. Give me a wave.
What'd you say?
All right, we're underway. We've been in the US for a week doing graduation stuff with Ivan and visiting our other kids. And now we're back here in Grenada. We've got Ivan and Oliver aboard. William stayed home because he's trying to finish up high school and he wanted some undivided focus. There's a lot of distractions here, and so he's gonna go hang out with his brother and wrap that up. So we're taking Ivan and Oliver up to Carriacou today. We're gonna go anchor there, probably the same spot we anchored before, Sandy Island, and there's some snorkeling to do there, and then we'll see what else we can do before we keep going north. We're gonna go back up where we came from. We're gonna go to Union Island, and then up to Beckway. We'll probably connect with Seascape there, and then we'll come back down to Tobago Keys before we come here again to hang out in a VRBO and get the boat put up for the summer.
Wow, that was a massive line.
This is Anse-la-Roche, kind of at the northern end of Carriacou. We're stopping here for the night, and then we'll pop over to Union Island tomorrow. We're trying to make our way back up to Beckway, just because the boys have never seen it and there's a lot to see and do there. This seems like a beautiful anchorage. We might end up staying here an extra day if it's nice, because we have some time. But boy, it feels good to be back on the boat and being moving. We did 36 miles today and it was very calm. The weather was quite different from the last time we came through here. But yeah, looking forward to exploring a little bit of Carriacou and just enjoying time with the boys and seeing how much food they can possibly eat, because all of our projections are off and we're gonna run out of food in like 2 days. We'll figure it out. We are in an anchorage called Anse-la-Roche, and it's a very small anchorage. We were looking at it on the charts and it looked like a really neat place to go, but very small, very tight. This is not an anchorage I would have gone to in the Bahamas, because it is challenging to get your boat placed exactly right to where you're not going to endanger the boat or other boats around you. So I want to walk through how we got in here, how we checked to make sure that we could fit, and the things that we did after we anchored to make sure that we could sleep at night, confident that our boat wasn't going to move or hit anything while the winds change and swirl inside of here. So let's go dig into that. Our friends Hugh and Carol had told us about this place, so we looked it up on Google Earth to get an idea of what it looks like with boats in the anchorage. You can see 3 boats in the satellite, here, here, and here. This gave us an idea of where we could fit. We then looked at the area on the charts to get an idea of how much space there was. In this case, about 300 yards between the rocks to the south and the shore to the north. With one boat to the north, we tried to split the difference between them and the rocks to the south and accounted for the length of our chain. We got it pretty close to the right spot. So let's take a look at this from above to see how we anchored. Our distance from the other boat looks good, distance from shore looks good, and distance to the rocks looks good. But is it? Judging distance on the water is hard, so we make sure another way. We use a rangefinder. It's extremely useful when anchoring. Grab one on Amazon, it's well worth the price. You simply point it at what you want to measure to, then press the button. We're 80 yards from shore here. A quick measure to the rocks and to the boat in front of us, and all looks good. Once you're confident you're in the right spot, in conditions like this, or most times really, you should dive on your anchor to understand how well you hold and what you're anchored to. We're buried and it's clean all around to reset, so this looks good. One other check I needed to make was whether we had enough depth if we swung towards shore. Turned out it was 6 to 8 feet all the way to shore and it looked good. So the anchor looked good, the distance to shore looked good. So I'm confident that we're put down in the right spot, and if we swing, we should be good. It's tight. It's 80 yards to shore and 70 yards to those rocks, and we're about 70 yards from the other catamaran. So one other thing you can do to check to build confidence in where you've anchored is to go talk to other boats in the anchorage. And I went and talked to this guy, and he said he's been here for 2 weeks, and he certainly has clocked around 360 degrees, but has really had no problems and was very comfortable being here. So on top of all the other things you do, you should check with your neighbors and ask them important questions like, how much scope do you have out? He has the same that we have out. We have about 60 feet out in 10 feet of water. That's with the bridle. So we have a 5-to-1 scope roughly. They have about the same. So if we swing, we're going to swing together and swing pretty evenly. That's my 2 cents on anchoring in a tight spot. If you take your time and do your research, you can anchor safely in a close anchorage and still get a good night's sleep. And this paid off. This anchorage turned out to be beautiful. There are a lot of fish here in the reefs at either end of the bay. I came upon this line of cuttlefish. They were so cool. I looked it up, and in some situations, cuttlefish align themselves to create a larger, more intimidating appearance. By coordinating their skin patterns, they can confuse predators or prey by presenting a visually complex and unified display. There's a beach bar and restaurant here called Tim's, and it is excellent. We played some coob while smelling the trash can ribs cooking, then sat down to a massive, amazing meal. This was the best beach barbecue we've been to in the Caribbean, hands down.
Scrumdiddly-dum-dumptious.
All right, that was a really beautiful anchorage, and it was nice to end up staying there a little longer than we planned. We were hoping to stay there one more day before we head on to Bequia, but then we remembered we actually have to check out of Grenada to go to Bequia. And De La Roche is one of the top ones we've been to. The restaurant was fantastic, snorkeling was good, and it was just peaceful, very cool. So this is called a mooring hitch, and it's a really cool knot. You start underneath and you come over. end up with something that looks like this. Holds tight, and then when you're done, you can just pull it out and it's loose. That's a mooring hitch.
We have a cat problem. Most places we go, we find the cats. And in Bequia, there are a couple that live right by the dock at the end of Princess Margaret Beach, so we must say hi each time we go in. The Princess Margaret Trail is a 3-mile-long walkway along the entire bay that gives easy pedestrian access from Princess Margaret Beach all the way to town and beyond. It's been around in one form or another for 80 years, and it's a beautiful walk, especially when you finish up with some fresh passion fruit. In town, you'll find one of the most unique groceries we have seen in the Caribbean, Doris's Fresh Food. If there's something you want, they will most likely have it. They seem to cater to the super yacht crowd, so the place is full of interesting and exotic foods, but there's a price that comes along with it. These cats really took a liking to Erin. I'm pretty sure they would have followed her to the dinghy and onto our boat if she had let them.
I don't think he's gonna fight me, but I'm like, don't fight me. That was a lot.
There's a lot to do in Bequia, and we did several things multiple times like this. The Fig Tree Restaurant has a kids' reading room, and they have a book reading time on Saturdays where you can go volunteer. The kids were awesome, but kind of squirmy. Eventually, everybody settled down, and they were able to give book reports on what they read. It's a great time, and we ended up doing this twice.
We've been in Bequia now for, 3 or 4 days, and Ivan and Oliver are really getting into the groove of things on the boat. We went snorkeling yesterday just to kind of feel it out, and I think they both enjoyed it, so we'll probably go do a much more involved snorkel today over at the Devil's Table, which is a really cool place out here on the point. We're gonna go to the Firefly Estate, which is an orchard and restaurant, a whole bunch of other stuff, and learn about some of the local fruits and vegetables that they grow here. I think they do a sea salt thing as well. Anyway, going in a big group. There's a bunch of boats here that we know. Our friends on Wahoo, they got here. We met them in St. Kitts. Of course, Seascape is here with Shane and Tanya, and then Daggers Down and Inca Cross. So we've got a whole bunch of boats going over to go check out this estate. Should be fun. How is it?
Pretty good.
Passion fruit's so good. It's the best way to start off the day.
Part of cruising is the constant coming and going of folks that you meet, and it's always great to get back together with folks you haven't seen in a while. When we got to the estate, we were welcomed by a pack of eager dogs that are very excited about the tour. This was our guide Ezra. He knew this place like the back of his hand. The estate looked like a park. Oliver's height advantage came in handy here.
You gotta give us your opinion. What is it? How is it? Pretty good?
It's all right.
The boys tried their hand at pressing the cane to get the juice. They were a little weak.
Come on, man. You said you've been lifting weights and stuff. Yeah. There you go, Ollie.
This is what coconuts look like when they're just starting out.
That's a close second to passion fruit.
Oh, yeah?
Close second, yeah.
It has like a pepper. You like on your lips, yeah. Right next to the seat. This one is called the
Now intertwine your hands.
I'm not happening.
This is why the dogs wanted to come on the walk. They loved coconut. this is where they dry the salt, and they had a tasting room with a bunch of different varieties. It was really neat. Firefly Estate was a great trip and well worth the time. We got to experience a large variety of what grows on these islands and had a ball doing it. We are leaving Bequia. It is beginning of June, and we've got to get to Grenada for our final haul out. And we've really only got 4 or 5 more days of cruising left, so we have to put things up. A little bittersweet. The season has gone by so fast. It seems like just yesterday we were in Norfolk getting the boat ready, and then diverting to Brunswick, and then going to Bahamas, and then making our big long passage. That all seems like it was just maybe a month ago. So we're going to take the boys down to Tobago Keys for 2 or 3 days and just have fun getting our last bits of snorkeling and foiling and hiking in before we make that final trek down to Grenada. There are a lot of things to see and do in the Tobago Keys, and we decided to go take a look at a small island outside the reef made famous in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Not good! Stop! What are you doing? You burned all the food, the shade, the rum!
Yes, the rum is gone.
Why is the rum gone?
We're swimming ashore in an island where apparently they filmed a scene in Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it's the one where they left Jack Sparrow on the island. So we're gonna go check out the island. What do you think? 3 weeks ago, you were in a classroom, book learning like a knob.
Yeah, and I'm walking on the same beach Captain Jack Sparrow did, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
I didn't know he actually existed in real life, which is something I learned.
Parkour!
Don't get hurt.
Cool little island, very isolated, very beautiful. All right, next step, we're gonna go and snorkel with some turtles because they all hang out at this island right over there. So we just gotta hop back in the dinghy, go back in through the reef, and go meet the turtles. All right, we are leaving Tobago Keys. We're leaving a day early. I think we're just thinking about hauling out a lot, and it's distracting from us doing the fun things. That, and last night at about 12 or 1, I looked out the window and noticed we had spun all the way around on our ball, and the boat in front of us had not. And we had to get fenders out and wake them up, and it was a whole thing. It wasn't a big deal. We were able to untie, and I knew where to anchor in the dark. Luckily there was a full moon, so I could still kind of see the sandy bottom. But anyway, it reminded me that the low-key stress of worrying about weather and anchor and provisions and all that kind of stuff we're ready to take a break. So we're just speeding things up by a day to get down to Grenada and have a little bit more time to start preparing the boat for haul out. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go check out in Clifton in Union Island and get out of SVG and over to Carriacou, spend the night there, and then down to Grenada tomorrow to wrap up our sailing for the season. And after that, we'll be taking about 3 or 4 months off before we get back to the boat and do this all over again.
We tied up in Clifton, then headed over to a pretty famous bar in the middle of a reef. Unfortunately, it was closed when we arrived. It's a pretty tiny place, but there's a reason for that. This island is man-made.
This whole thing is actually built on conch shells. It was just a big conch shell pile. They kept on adding to it, and they built this building. And it's apparently a very happening bar when people are here. We're not in season right now, so I think things are slow. The guy who owns it hasn't had it open for the last couple of days. So very cool. It's right here on the reef and very calm.
Eventually, they did open up and we got to see inside. It is a very cool place.
Alright, guys.
Showing off.
Watch, I'm gonna do it.
Stepping on the thing and stepping on the other thing.
So you walk in slow and
Got it.
smooth. No laughing rapidly, is that what you said?
I said none of that.
I've never done that in my life.
Do it.
You do it every day.
What?
You do it every day.
Dude, Ivan, what is that noise?
That was you, bro.
That was you. All right, we are on our last sail of our second season. We're sailing from Union Island down to Grenada, where we will start preparations for hauling out for hurricane season. We're in between Union Island and Carriacou, and it should be a great sail, though. The wind is fantastic, 15, 17. We got a slight downwind angle. Seas are relatively calm, so great way to finish up the season. It's bittersweet. We've traveled all the way from Norfolk back in November, had all these adventures along the way, and it's hard to think that this is the end of it for now. We're gonna put the boat up for about 4 months because hurricane season and insurance and wanting to go visit family and friends and just turn off the low-key stress of running a boat. And yeah, it's gonna be a whole bunch of emotions as we're packing up and getting the boat ready to go on the hard. But great way to end it. Good sail. So another 30 miles, 35 miles, and we will be there. Okay, we are in Grenada. We're on a ball. We've been here for a couple of days preparing for haul out. We're going to move around the corner. We're in Port Louis. We're going to move around the corner to Clark's Court. They have a small marina where we can tie up, and that'll give us access to land. We're going to rent a car. We have a VRBO, and we'll start moving stuff around and cleaning and doing a lot of stuff that's required before going in the hard. Now, last year, didn't do any of this. We rolled into Virginia, pulled the head sail off and hauled out, and that was kind of it. We just threw everything everywhere, which cost us later. It made it really difficult to get going when we splashed the boat again. So this year we're doing it a little differently. We're planning, we have everything laid out for us, and now it's just a matter of following the tasks and doing all of those. So right now, we just need to stabilize everything and go around the corner and do our last docking of the season. A bit of a sporty ride when you get around the south side of the island. Almost there, a couple more miles. All right, and for a last docking of the season, that was not bad.
And And that is the end of our second season on Symphony. It's hard to believe it is over. It went by so fast. For season 3, we'll splash the boat in November and make our way all the way back to the US. I hope you'll follow along as we explore new places in the Caribbean. Check us out on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week for the first video of season 3.